In an effort to fully explain how this therapy is administered, I decided to document myself receiving it for the 5th time, as I have been receiving fetal stem cell therapy almost annually since 2016. Since I am generally healthy, I receive the Anti-Aging Longevity Protocol, which consists of virtually all the same fetal stem cell types that everyone else receives. However, properly designed fetal stem cell therapy is not a one-size-fits-all. M-Cell personalizes each therapy to each patient's needs. Age, medical diagnosis, and other factors determine the overall design of each patient's therapy. When I arrive at the clinic on the first day, M-Cell conducts a comprehensive set of diagnostics, starting with a post-fasting full blood panel, urine analysis, ultrasound of my abdomen, including my prostate, lymph nodes, and thyroid, as well as an EKG. After careful review of these diagnostics, it is then customary to have a meeting with my doctor, accompanied by an English interpreter. After a physical examination and discussing any specific issues I wish to address, my doctor then explains my personalized 3-day treatment protocol. My first round of fetal stem cells lay the foundation for the remainder of my therapy and are injected intravenously. The endothelial cells create new capillaries and small blood vessels and improve microcirculation of my entire organ system. Any small blood vessels that were not functioning properly will be repaired. These cells also strengthen the inner wall layers of my larger blood vessels, allowing all fetal stem cells I receive during the course of therapy to reach far throughout my body. Also included are the hepatic cells derived from the liver. They not only improve my liver function, but strengthen my overall blood system. Also derived from the liver are the hematopoietic cells, which stimulate and strengthen my bone marrow for better function and better blood formation. These are the very same liver cell types that were used shortly after Chernobyl and cured Dmytro of aplastic anemia decades earlier. The reason fetal liver cells are so powerful is because they are extracted from the fetal liver at 7 to 12 weeks. And these cells, at this time of gestation, are the foundation, the precursor to the human body's bone marrow itself, and thus the foundation of the human immune system. The pre-mesenchymal cells are supportive cells that can be transformed into any type of cell in my body. Also injected are growth factors and other cells that additionally support this personalized mixture to combine with my own body's chemistry, allowing these cells to rapidly reproduce or proliferate after being injected intravenously. These very same stem cells are given in personalized doses to all patients of all ages, regardless of medical diagnosis. Later in the day, I was examined by their ophthalmologist, who concluded that since I am almost 50 years old, I should receive the fetal eye cells to help prevent macular degeneration, a common degenerative eye condition that comes with age. The fetal eye cells were injected into my eye sockets, not my eyes themselves. After a long first day at the clinic, I head back to my hotel for a good night's sleep to get ready for day 2. My second day of therapy began with another round of the same fetal stem cells I received intravenously on day 1. But later that day, spread throughout 7 syringes, were a wide variety of neurological-related fetal stem cells, measured in dosages specifically designed for me. These neurological stem cells were injected subcutaneously. These exact cells are given subcutaneously in higher concentrations to people like Lawrence with multiple sclerosis, but also given intrathecally into his spinal fluid to complement the subcutaneous injections. Bill, who has Parkinson's, was treated in a similar fashion and also received these same cells in higher doses for his diagnosis, but was also injected intrathecally into his spinal fluid. However, for Bill and other patients with Parkinson's, these doctors deliver higher concentrations of the cells containing dopamine progenitor cells, since it is the lack of dopamine that causes Parkinson's. For children with autism, they too get a tailored concentration of the neurological-related fetal cells injected subcutaneously. But since intrathecal or spinal injections aren't the most ideal option for a child, MCell developed a method of complementing the subcutaneous injections of fetal neuronal cells through intranasal injections, allowing for quick delivery into the brain. After receiving all 7 of my subcutaneous injections of the neurological fetal stem cells, the 8th syringe was injected into my muscle, consisting of growth factors and cytokines targeting my gender to stimulate testosterone production. Since we are living in the age of COVID, which can attack our respiratory system, I also received the lung, endothelial, and hematopoietic stem cells administered through a vaporized inhalation method directly into my lungs. This delivery method was specially designed by MCell with COVID in mind, but can also help with those suffering from lung conditions like emphysema or COPD. This inhalation device was designed by MCell's team and printed on a 3D printer. This device is one of a kind, the only device like it in the world. Finally, on day 3, my last day of therapy, I am given another round of subcutaneous injections. This time, 11 of them. These injections focus on regenerating a wide array of other organs, in addition to supporting the stem cell injections I received on day 1 and day 2. In my personalized mixture, I also received fetal cardiac cells to protect and regenerate my already healthy heart. But some patients with heart disease receive the fetal cardiac cells along with a mixture of other related fetal stem cells directly into the heart via an intracoronary procedure. This is a chromosome, a long DNA molecule found inside the nucleus of every cell in our body. At the end of each chromosome are telomeres. Each time a cell divides, the telomeres become slightly shorter over time. They eventually become so short that the cell can no longer divide, and the cell dies. Telomerase is an enzyme that promotes the synthesis of telomeres.
So when we injected you the fetal stem cells, we injected not only the cells with long telomere length, we also injected the cells which produce the telomerase, which helps to reconstruct your own cells.
When I started receiving fetal stem cell therapy, I had my telomeres measured and repeated the test every year or so. They were measured using the flow-fish method, using a flow cytometer, the most accurate method of measuring telomeres available to modern science. In 2017, my median telomere length was 5.38 kilobases, which was low. The mean healthy length in a healthy adult is 6.4 kilobases. However, a year later, my median telomere length jumped to 7.23, and a year after that, jumped to 8.71, and then leveled out to 7.18 kilobases in 2021. Over the course of 5 years, my average telomere length increased by over 33%.
So the telomerase that you produced, you injected me with cells that produce telomerase, right? And which then in turn perhaps could have also affected my own telomeres.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's two things happening at the same time. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm being injected with fetal stem cells which have long telomeres.
Yeah.
And they're growing and multiplying. So there's that. That might be the reason why I have such a high number, combined with telomerase producing cells from fetal stem cells that are also influencing my existing telomeres.
Yeah.
And what is even more significant is the percentage of long telomeres overall within the total population of my chromosomes. I went from 0.28% of my total cells having long telomeres to 8.52% of my total cell population having long telomeres, resulting in a near 3,000% increase in my cell population with long telomeres.
So it means like you have like more time.
Yeah. You think it's going to help me live longer?
Yeah, it can help you live longer, live better, and this is the proof of the anti-aging. If this is not the proof of the anti-aging, I don't know what we can do more.
This is also proof that the fetal stem cells injected into my body for the last 7 years have remained in my body. And each new therapy I receive builds upon the previous therapy I've received, bringing us back full circle to how this therapy's mechanism of action was conceived of in the first place. This mechanism of action has been ubiquitously confirmed for decades and published throughout the peer-reviewed medical literature by scientists from all over the world. Inspired first by George Schmorl's observations to a century later, when a small group of innovative scientists and doctors administered only fetal liver cells to treat radiation-induced bone marrow failure after Chernobyl, leaving just 2 Ukrainian scientists who, after succeeding in curing bone marrow failure, later assisted the Ukrainian government in creating new legislation within its Ministry of Health to formally legalize and regulate fetal stem cells for human use. And now, more than 30 years of research later, this technology has been handed off to a new, larger team of over 24 Ukrainian doctors and scientists who have taken the reins to expand this technology into utilizing virtually all of the important organ systems of the human body. From the brain and central nervous system, treating Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, Alzheimer's, brain injuries, and autism, to fetal heart stem cells, potentially eliminating the need for heart surgeries and heart medication, kidney and adrenal cells, stem cells from the pancreas, which contain insulin-producing cells to treat diabetes, as well as the foundation of the entire blood, bone marrow, and circulatory system, which can treat a host of various immunological diseases. This technology has even cured male infertility in men who had tried and failed every possible fertility treatment known to modern science by utilizing the testicular-related fetal stem cells. Yet, somehow, the rest of the world has either never heard of this technology, doesn't understand this technology, or if they are quietly researching it outside of Ukraine, many are forced to work in the shadows out of fear for their lives. I even reached out to some of the world's leading stem cell experts, like world-renowned biologist James Thompson, featured on the cover of Time magazine as the man who brought you stem cells. I informed him I was investigating fetal stem cell therapy and was looking for an expert opinion. He replied by stating, "I'm sorry, but it is outside of my area of expertise." I have reached out to scientists affiliated with the largest stem cell organization in the United States, the California Institute for Regenerative Medicine, or CIRM, who works with certain scientists researching fetal stem cells in mice, like Dr. Eileen Anderson, who was recently granted over $5 million to study human neural cells for spinal cord injury, who said during a 2020 presentation when asked directly,
Greg says, what is the source for human neural stem cells? What sources have you studied to determine which works better? Well, we have studied induced pluripotent cells, reprogrammed cells, ES-derived cells, and fetal tissue-derived neural stem cells. Out of those, fetal tissue-derived neural stem cells works hands down the best in our hands. We have yet to have success in our hands, in our models, with an induced pluripotent stem cell, a reprogrammed somatic cell, a developed neural stem cell product. In fact, what we get really efficiently is tumor formation, which is very disappointing and not something that you want to have in the clinic. And the ES cells that we've worked with, embryonic stem cells that we've neuralized to be neural stem cells, I would say 50% of the lines we've tested have given some evidence of repair, but very, very small in terms of magnitude, nothing like what we've seen with the tissue-derived neural stem cells.
Dr. Anderson, like all other Western scientists working with fetal tissue that I contacted, failed to respond to any of my repeated attempts to invite them to participate in this documentary.
I know some scientists which in the past work with the fetal stem cells, but due to the ethical issues and illegalness of working with this stem cell type, they start research and wanted to find the alternative solution or alternative stem cells for treatment as the fetal stem cells. But for the last 10 years, they didn't find anything what can be so effective as the fetal stem cells. Because I really visit quite a lot of the conference, and on each conference I met the person or scientist or professor which has some researchers in the past with the fetal stem cells. They do not want to talk about that on the publicity, but all of them told me that I'm lucky one because I have opportunity to work with them.
It is estimated that of the 8 billion people alive on Earth today, only around 25,000 people in human history have received fetal stem cell therapy. The reason you may have never heard of this technology is because, in all of human history, only 0.0003% of the human race has ever received it. The countries in blue are where the routine application of fetal stem cell therapy is prohibited, which includes Mexico, as today's Mexican law clearly states, Chapter 3, Transplant, Article 330. It is forbidden the use for any purpose of embryonic or fetal tissues resulting from abortions, which leaves this one country in Europe being the only place on planet Earth where a human being can legally obtain fetal stem cell therapy. Ukraine. If you wish to contact me and ask me any questions about this technology, since I have been following it for the last decade, feel free to email me at eric@ericmarola.com. To stay up to date on my progress researching this technology, subscribe to this YouTube channel, follow on Facebook, or sign up to my mailing list at ericmarola.com or stemcellsmovie.com. Also, don't miss the God Cells podcast series, where I have candid conversations with people from all over the world who have received fetal stem cell therapy. All links are in the description below.